Today we're going to talk about Gunnar Helm, who has decided to commit to the University of Texas, and all that's coming up after the bumper.
Don't be cornering me. Hold up. Time. You gotta help me with that corner shit.
What's up, kinfolk? It's RJ Young. I am not on a step mill. Consider hitting the like and subscribe button because I upload a video every single day. It's always college football related, sports related. We have a good time. Today, I want to talk about 6'6", 220-pound, 3-star tight end Gunnar Helm, who has decided to commit to Texas over Ohio State, Georgia, Auburn, and others. This was really a sleeper pickup, I think, for Texas, with the offer coming in June and the commitment coming about 6 weeks later after taking an unofficial virtual visit to Ohio State. Now, anytime Ohio State wants to show some interest along with Georgia or even Texas Christian, I look at those things, right? And I also look at his length, and I look at his size and his pass catching skills, and I can understand the appeal of a Gunnar Helm. That also means that it's their 16th commit to the 2021 recruiting class. 15th commit to the 2021 recruiting class, and they're going to move into the top 10 with this. Now, I understand it ain't going to move the needle because tight ends, one, don't move the needle that often, and two, it's a 3-star. And when you're Texas and you're a blue blood, you're expected to land 4-star, 5-star kiddos every single week. I mean, actually every 2 weeks, right? Because 25 commits over 52 weeks, you understand what I'm saying. So every 15 days. But getting this kind of value from a guy that you had offered late in the cycle at least is not a small thing, especially when you get to pair him with guys like Ja'Tavion Sanders and maybe Billy Bowman, who has the ability to play both ways, quite honestly, and he's probably projected at safety because most coaches I agree with, and they agree with me in that way, and that if you are a great athlete, I'm going to ask you to play defense before I ask you to play offense, unless you just play offense, right? Like, the idea of Julio Jones as a slot corner is kind of awesome, but I also understand why you're going to let Julio Jones do whatever you want, which is the other thing with this Gunnar Helm situation. At 6'6" and 220 pounds, I'm like, yo, that's an edge, dude. That is a defensive end. Nah, he's a pass catcher, and you can see with the hands, right? The same thing would go with Billy Bowman, which is where I was going with this, which is he's probably a safety because, well, you need the safety help, and you could probably find another H guy because you got a bunch of H guys. You got Jordan Whittington, you got Jake Smith. You're going to be okay right there, But you get to add him with Jalen Milroe, along with a safety in J.D. Coffey. And really, you get another capable set of hands here. Like, I was wondering what they were going to do after perhaps Andrew Brewer, right? Maybe you move Malcolm Epps to that tight end position, just assuming you want to run tight ends. But in 2020 especially, I don't see that as being the most dynamic lineup for Texas. I see it as Brendan Eagles, Jake Smith, Jordan Whittington, and then Malcolm Epps at, that outside receiver position with a Bijan Robinson basically back there in the shotgun with Sam Ehlinger. You go 4 wide, you run 4 verts, or you just try to put Bijan Robinson in those one-on-one situations running that power spread where you let Sam Ehlinger make decisions. Now, heading into the future, if they can hold on to a Jalen Milroe, I could see that still working out, right? Along with guys like Gunnar Helm, you could have a guy that is a mismatch nightmare for most teams because what we're seeing in college football, particularly in recruiting, is there's an emphasis put on the eraser. The guy that can play 6 different positions for you, that can take away the other team's best receiving threat, and usually they're running back as well. So imagine an Isaiah Simmons who can line up in the slot over anybody, whether it be Thad Moss or Justin Jefferson or Terrace Marshall. If you have that guy on your defense, you have an opportunity to win national championships. This is what Keely Ringo is going to bring to Georgia, I believe. I know that there's a lot of folks that believe in what Richard LeCounte is going to be able to do, coming off 4 interceptions last year. Eric Stokes is awesome, but what Keely Ringo provides is that matchup against Eric Gilbert in the SEC championship game that I know is going to come, because Eric Gilbert had over 100 catches for like 1,700 yards at Marietta, led them to their first state championship since the 60s. And he's a Gatorade Player of the Year. Also means that we get the Gatorade Players of the Year of 2019 and 2020 playing against each other in 2020 when Texas is supposed to travel to LSU to play at Tiger Stadium. Jake Smith was not only the best player in the state of Arizona the same year that 5-star quarterback Spencer Rattler came out, he was also the National Gatorade Player of the Year. But getting back to Gunnar Helm, if you can actually develop him into the kind of guy that can catch 40 to 50 balls each year, you're going to win way more games because you have him than not. This is what Austin Stogner provides to Oklahoma at the tight end position. At 6'6" and about 250, with tremendous hands and great physicality, there's not a whole lot of guys in the Big 12 that can match up with him. There certainly aren't a whole lot of guys in college football that can match up with him. That's where there's such a premium put on those guys. That's what Mark Andrews was at Oklahoma. As a matter of fact, he showed up as a wide receiver who had set the state receiving record in Arizona. And Lincoln Riley looked at him and said, hey, you're probably going to put on 40 pounds and play the Y here, and you're going to catch a lot of footballs, and you're going to win us a lot of football games, and you're going to be one of the better tight ends in the NFL. That's exactly what happened, right? Talking about a Mackey Award winner. I think you could have that at Texas, but that's provided that Texas puts together a season in which Tom Herman gets to keep his job. Tom Herman puts together 8-5, assuming that the Big 12 is one of the remaining conferences that still will play 12 games, get through 12 games, and get to a bowl game, such as it is. I still don't think he's getting retained, man. But then again, because of the financial struggles that every university is in, I could just as easily see Chris Del Conte being like, no, we'll just keep Tom Herman. We'll keep the guy that we know. We'll keep the guy that has won a national championship as a coordinator, who took Houston to heights it hadn't seen in over a decade, and who has been slowly trying to get this thing right by firing his entire defensive staff, firing most of his offensive staff, overhauling it with Chris Ash, another guy with a national championship ring, and Mike Yurcich, who was a part of a pretty good Ohio State football team in 2019 and has shown that he can absolutely put together offenses that can score 40 a game in this conference. And if you're going to win this conference, you're going to put up 40, 45 a game. The reason I know that is because Lincoln Riley has won it 5 straight years, and the worst football team that he has fielded offensively has averaged 42 a game, right? The best one, Kyler Murray's 2018 season, averaged better than 48 points per game. That's what Texas is trying to get. And with a guy like Gunnar Helm, who can help you stretch the field, you're going to get more of that. So as we continue to talk about what Texas is doing and how they're doing it, and we look at guys like Casey Kane, who is committed to this class, a low 3-star, and guys like Jonathan Brooks, who's committed to this class, a low 3-star, and Juan Davis, another athlete, 3-star that's committed to this class, I can see it being one that really helps to bolster that great 2019 class they had a couple of years ago. And obviously, anything that can give Bijan Robinson more touches, meaning that you got to account for more guys, is going to be better, because I think Bijan Robinson can be what Chuba Hubbard has been for the last year. I mean, I thought he was pretty good as a spellback in 2018, but, going into this year, I wouldn't be surprised to find out that Bijan Robinson, off of like 115 carries, goes for nearly 1,000 yards, because he's just that good. But good for Texas, picking up a tight end, I think is a sleeper over in Ohio State. We'll see where it goes from here. All right, that's it for me. Doses.